All right, Kevin Olson, Kid Fox STI out in California. Trying to set up the wiring for my ADAHRS, my outside air temperature probe, which will go somewhere right there, my Pitot system, and the ADAHRS has a built-in magnetometer, whereas the Garmin system, you can use a remote with this one as well, but I think it's remote. So keeping it inside the CG envelope, I guess it's like 6 feet laterally from the fuselage, 12 feet fore and aft, is where you want to have this piece of equipment housed. And the way that Kid Fox works is the top of the wing attachment, all of the wiring for the lights at the end, the Pitot system, everything would come down through the spar. And I talked to Kid Fox. They mount their magnetometer and ADAHRS out at the tip, or their magnetometer out at the tip, not the ADAHRS. And so they don't have the same challenge that I have. But I talked to John about possibly running a tube behind the fuel tank, which would exit there. I could seal it in, have a nice carbon tube that would fit up nice and securely there. And I'm thinking, okay, I'll run my lighting through the spar and the ADAHRS wiring, which is here. And it's pretty robust until I get the tip. So I have to wire all of this, the connector, or attach a connector. So it'll fit through my additional tube that I'm gonna make, but it won't be able to be removed in the event that I would need to replace that. I'm gonna have an inspection panel here and an inspection panel somewhere there or there. So I could cut off the end, pull the wiring out, which would be a major pain in the butt. So hopefully I'm not going to be doing that, but I do think that's what's going to end up happening, because that connector style won't fit through this tube. I'm trying to get a larger tube that would still fit through my spar. It's light, and I haven't been able to locate one without it getting crazy expensive. So I could make one, which I'm toying with the idea. I may do that actually. I may just make my own tube. And actually, if I did that, now that I'm thinking about it, I could actually make it the shape of the forward part of the opening of the spar. That would be pretty slick. And if I did do that, I could run everything with... okay, so this is me thinking out loud right now. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm either gonna make a tube, or I'm gonna make one in a shape of this to where I can pass my lines and it'll come out here, which will be behind that support, because right there's the opening where the rear spar attaches to the fuselage, and it would be just after that and where the cable is laying. So I can still pass cabling through, still fold the wings. That's the whole point, is I want to be able to still, in the event, I don't think these are really foldable because of the STI wingtips, but I want that functionality. Even if I had to take off the wingtips to store it, I could fold the wings and fit another plane in here. So okay, thinking out loud, that's my Pitot heater, outside air temp, Pitot static system, ADAHRS, and then my lighting, I'm gonna have obviously directional pulsar arrow LEDs on the outside, and then I cut out my slot, which is looking really good. Still got some sanding to do. And then I'm almost ready to glue in my mount for my landing lights. And Now that I've got these done, I haven't done this on the other wing yet, but I've got it marked out. So that's this weekend, is installing this, cutting out the other wing tip and gluing up both of them to get them set up, and making up some type of tube attachment here for the rear part of my my rear spar. And honestly, aside from the ADAHRS where it's located, just having to run that thick large cable, I can get it out to 25 feet from Dyna, and I talked to them, but I'm pretty close to that distance. And you lose, the further out the longer a cable, you can have some degradation of the signal. But going from the front of the plane out all the way to the end of the spar and then coming all the way back in, which I've already committed to my Pitot system location is here. Doesn't mean I couldn't put the ADAHRS one more bay, but realistically you got to keep them 2 feet, keep a 2 feet circle of any moving ferrous metal. Just a lot of wiring up and down the wing, and I like my idea. I think it'll look cool, I think it'll be serviceable, and it'll be lighter. So that's my justification for all the extra work. All right, not sure if this video will ever see the light of day, to be honest. This could just be a complete fail, but I shaped up a piece of foam that has a general shape of about that, so that I could fit a large terminated cord through it, because I'm going to try to not run my ADAHRS and my outside air temperature wiring through my rear spar. I'm going to basically build in a carbon fiber tube. I tried using a circular tube that I bought, which was great, but it's just too small. And to get larger, that's a yard long, they're just ultra expensive, like $300-400, and I don't care that much about this. So I thought I'd take a stab at making a contoured shaped tube. So what I did is I sanded up and shaped a foam blank that could fit through each of the spars. The only way I'm going to be able to actually get it in is to take the wingtip off and slide it, and when it's carbon fiber, slide it through each of the spars. So hopefully that will work, because it's how rigid it is, I just can't bend it down in to get it through 2 spars safely. So just bagged it, rolled 3 layers of 3x3 or 2x2 twill, 6 ounce I think it is, whatever the standard carbon fiber fabric I have, and I'm bagging it up, and you can't really see, but that's the shape of it, and can't really tell, but it's decent size. I could easily get a terminated set of wires through it. So anyways, foam's in it, I wrapped it, it's vacuum bagging now, and ultimately I'm going to drill a hole through the foam from both ends, and I'm going to run a wire, hook my slap hammer up to it. I covered the blank with packing tape, and then I wiped release agent and sprayed free coat, and did like 3-4 layers of release agent on the tape, so that hopefully the majority of the foam will break away once I drill it out. So we'll see. It's definitely gonna have bumps and ridges on it. It could, every time I put the tape on, just heat change and putting the release agent, the tape would wanna delaminate from the foam. So it's definitely not gonna be perfect, but the good news is it's in my wing and you'll never see it. So this is strictly trying to come up with a strong, lightweight solution that is uniform on the inside so that when I pass a cable through it, I'll easily be able to wire something. And if I can get it into place, ADAHRS unit is there. I'll have probably an inspection panel in this bay, and I'll have an inspection panel here. I'll try to match those so that they're in line with each other and I can reach in to get to each of the items. Run my Pitot lines to the ADAHRS, my outside air temperature probe. I'm probably going to build a plank just like this, piece of wood on the back side here in line with the Pitot static, and it'll be in the center cord of the wing, protected from the sun. And that is my Pitot heater. And then that's it. That's all I'll have from a wiring standpoint. And then the wing tips, I'm going to have a landing light and a directional light on the end, and those will terminate on the wingtip, and they'll have a connector, and all of that wiring is just going to run down the rear spar and come into the left wing opening right there where the white ADAHRS cable is hanging. So that is it. I am slowly but surely making some headway with my wings, trying to get one step closer to covering. All right, first try at doing a video. I'm just basically propping it up. So I just pulled my part out of the vacuum bag. I'm starting to pull the backing and everything off, and I wanted to try and videotape, see how it turns out. So I'm going to do a quick little, hopefully I can do like a speed lapse, because nobody's going to want to watch me spend 20 minutes trying to get this part out. Okay, so I just cut the ends off. That's the shape, and that foam is wrapped with packing tape. So the goal is to find a way to break this bad boy loose, which is gonna be next to impossible. So my idea is I'm gonna drill a hole through it, hook up my slap hammer, run a rod all the way down through this with the washer, just big enough to fit inside here, and screw my slap hammer to that threaded rod with this, and to see if I can just tap it out. And if that doesn't work, then I'll just drill out and break it away and collapse it on inside itself until I can get it hollowed out. So, but I'm pretty happy. Okay, so who knows if this is even gonna work, but I am proud of myself. This looks badass. So I've got a carbon fiber tube that's the shape of one of the cutouts, and I'm going to Dremel out the end, but it's gonna give me a pass through where I can, without having to disconnect the terminated ends of any of my electronics that are going into this part of these two bays of my wing. I'm gonna be able to pass them through. It's gonna be high sol, glued in place. So it'll be solid, and it's nice and smooth on the inside because the outside's rough, but the inside is what I used. It was against the foam and the release agent. So it's slippery, so it should have minimal catches to hang it up from any sharp edges from the carbon fiber, because this is just a simple vacuum bag. But I'm really happy. It turned out better than I expected, and it's super light, and I think I'm gonna minimize a lot of wire runs for myself. I'm hoping I have enough room where I can punch through here and there's no real interference once the wings are on. But this rear tube is what the rear spar is fitting over, and so just after that is where I would split my wiring for my lights that go through the rear spar and the cabling. So I have a little T, and I am pretty psyched. So should work out pretty well. All right, so well, update for the weekend. Freaking stormy weather. First week of March. Tahoe's supposedly getting upwards of 10 feet in one weekend. So this is what I did while it was all rainy, is I built a carbon tube the shape of the inside opening of the ribs behind my gas tank, and I didn't want to run my electrical lines for my ADAHRS and my outside air temp all the way to the end of the wing and then back to the bays when I'm having it. I just elected to put my ADAHRS within the envelope of the center of the aircraft, 6 feet laterally, 12 feet fore and aft. So it has a built-in magnetometer. A lot of people will put a remote at the end in the wingtip, and I elected to just leave it here, which created a problem. I just didn't want to run wires all the way up the wing and then back. So what I did is I built a tunnel, super lightweight. It's like 5 ounces. Couldn't be happier with how it turned out. So I'm gonna, hopefully this will work, because from what it looks like, I've got plenty of room behind where the rear spar attaches to the fuselage, and that's where you'd run your wires anyways. So I'll still run my wingtip landing light and directional lights down through the rear spar, but then the others, I'm just gonna have a short run that runs out here, hops over, plugs right into the back of the ADAHRS, and then I'll have a very small amount of tubing that runs to my Pitot static system, and then I mounted my outside air temperature probe directly behind, so center the cord to protect it from the sun, but directly behind the Pitot system. And this is all inside my lift strut attachments, between my lift strut attachment and my jury struts. So I'm hoping this is a pretty clean look. Everything's protected, won't hit my head on it. And now I'm just gluing that back in place. I just had a piece of carbon left over. I would have done it out of wood. And I've lacquered these, put varnish on them. They're drying right now. So once those dry, I'll put another coat on, and then I'll start mounting and installing everything. Not sure about drilling the holes for the Pitot mast, which is right here. But I need to drill 4 holes. I think I could tap this material. It's probably thick enough. And attach in place, I gotta do a little research there. But then once I cover the bottom of the wing, I guess is when I'll do my final install of that. And get everything dialed in, mounted in place, and then cover the top of the wing. So getting closer. Got the landing lights mocked up. The other one I haven't cut out the center yet. It's just sitting in there. I haven't drilled any holes for. I'm gonna have to put some nut plates or something for it to screw into, but pretty happy. This gets pulled out. That's why I have the clecos in there, so I'll have to fill those and sand them once I'm done, but I didn't see any other way to just get a good consistent connection. And then once I've got the wiring sorted out and glued in, then I will install the plexiglass cover. I gotta drill 4 holes to mount it and attach it to this insert. So still got some work figuring that stuff out, but that's my progress for the weekend. All right, have a good one.